or call 800-745-3000.
WorldCare's Emergency Relief Center is responding to Tucson's economic crisis.
As we provide assistance to over 40,000 individuals and families affected by job loss, poverty, and health issues. This includes 170 local nonprofit organizations and schools in desperation.
The needs are staggering, and the WorldCare Emergency Relief Center is needed now more than ever.
Together, we can assist those in distress right here in southern Arizona.
The crisis is here.
You can help.
Make a financial contribution to WorldCare today.
With just a click, news when you want it. Live, local, late-breaking video on demand at KOLD.com. Log on to KOLD.com and click on the video tab for news on demand. Weather forecasts at your fingertips. Sports and lifestyle. It's online on your time. KOLD News 13 video on demand at KOLD.com.
Looking for a getaway with a little more luster? Then reshape your escape.
Desert Diamond Casinos and Entertainment. The shape of escape.
Clooney's Emmy Green Room Candid Camera. This is Entertainment Tonight. George laughing, cuddling with Elisabetta.
Who my date is? She picked me up in Italy, Elisabetta.
All the just released backstage footage from TV's biggest night. Plus,
1, 2, 3, 4, baby.
Born to Run. Exclusive behind-the-scenes video from the skit that stole the Emmy show.
They were all like coming off planes and coming right to the thing in like sweatpants.
Jimmy Fallon's rehearsal home movies.
The greatest people.
And Kojo with the full fashion breakdown.
Is that a real ponytail or did you borrow it from Kim Kardashian?
Taking no prisoners with his best and worst dressed.
It was like a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Then ET's countdown of Hollywood's most shocking celebrity deaths. John Ritter's hidden heart trouble that struck on the set. And our cherished moments with the fun-loving star.
Entertainment Tonight, you don't scare me.
Anna Nicole Smith's accidental overdose. Her final days inside the home where she hoped to raise Danny Lind.
This is the house she's going to learn to walk in, right?
Right. Princess Diana's life cut short in a paparazzi chase.
Why couldn't they let her be?
Her fairy tale wedding and the royal funeral with her 2 young sons. Steve Irwin's deadly dive. Did the crocodile hunter have a premonition of his own demise?
That's my destiny.
And the brave little girl he left behind.
I'm gonna be just like my daddy.
And the tragic day the war lost the king of pop.
Now, the most watched entertainment news magazine in the world.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Frazier.
And I'm Samantha Harris. Welcome to Entertainment Tonight Weekend.
The stars are still basking in the afterglow of Emmy. Tina Fey, Betty White, Eva, Kira, Sophia, Leah, Jane. And even though Clooney didn't walk the red carpet, the stars paid tribute.
George Clooney came out to me. He's like, Matthew, how you doing? Like, he knew my name. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Is he this good looking in person?
Better.
Really?
Well, you know, a body comes with him in person, so it's always better than a stick.
Give me your best Clooney.
My best Clooney, hello, I'm Batman.
It was fun back in the green room because you get to see a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time. And at one point, it was, I was standing next to Tom Selleck and Al Pacino. I'm suddenly, 14 years old again.
Backstage in the green room, Clooney chatted with Ricky Gervais and Joel McHale. The star was also snapped holding Elisabetta, checking a script, and joking with Lawrence Fishburne. And it's Clooney versus Krasinski. John and George chatted in the green room, but played ball earlier in the day.
My day today was John Krasinski came over to my house with a bunch of guys, and we played basketball.
Oh, man. That was my life. That was my life.
If you could just give us your best Clooney. Okay.
Now I have to make do with John Hamm.
Emmy's Golden Girls got down and dirty with John Hamm for the show's hilarious opening number, spoofing Glee.
All right, now back that mother up. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that.
So just how did Jimmy and company pull it off? We have the exclusive.
1, 2, 3, 4.
In the day we sweated out on the streets of a runaway American dream.
We did that in 2 days, Friday and Saturday right before the Sunday Emmy. We did all that rehearsal. Tina Fey, John Hamm, Betty, they were all coming off planes and coming right to the thing in sweatpants, rehearsing.
Shut! Shut!
That's right, just 48 hours before millions would see it, Jimmy pulled some of the biggest names in TV into a rehearsal room and filmed it all on his iPhone. Jane Lynch in the back corner, Tina and John striking poses up front, Kate in the middle, and Randy Jackson.
Robin Anton from Pussycat Dolls, she choreographed the whole thing. That's the fun of live television. It's like, all right, you did the pre-tape, you got all the jokes, now let's just blow it out in that one line where he was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, highway. 1, 2, 3, 4, highway. You gotta do that live. So we just took a chance and it worked.
The cast also included Community's Joel McHale, Jorge Garcia from Lost, and The Vampire Diaries' Nina Dobrev.
Kate Gosselin is awesome. What a great sport. She was like, where do I show up? I'll bring the dress. I'll put the side ponytail in. I'll do the whole thing. She was great.
Hey, guys. I can help. I'm a great dancer.
Jimmy's people contacted me and said, hey, we have this part for you in the opening act. When I got out here, it was kind of like, okay, here's the video, the dance you have to learn, and you have 90 minutes to learn it.
Also a big hit, The Stars Emmy Style. Here's Kojo with the night's best dressed.
Number 5, Emily Blunt and Christian Dior. How chic, the white creamy flowers on that beautiful lilac dress, lilac-alicious. The devil does not wear Prada. The devil wears Christian Dior. Number 4, Claire Danes and Armani Privé. Claire, my lovely Claire, you were posh, you were polished, you were pow. Number 3, Sofia Vergara and Carolina Herrera. Sofia, you were a vision in yellow, and I love the beads on it, and I love the sizzle, and I love the sex, and I loved your curves, and I just thought it was delicious. Number 2, Diana Agron of Glee in Carolina Herrera. Welcome to the Kojo's best dress list. The lace was just gorgeous. This upswept hair, the Cartier jewels.
The dress spoke to me. I put it on. It was the first thing I put on.
Who's number 1 and who is named worst dressed? That's coming up later in the show.
Now we begin our countdown of Hollywood's most shocking deaths with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, here was a guy with so much promise. Last year, he won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his tour de force performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight.
It was a bittersweet moment. 13 months earlier, the actor had died. Heath's passing is number 10 in our countdown. This was the eerie scene just hours after the 28-year-old actor died. His body encased in a black body bag, strapped to a gurney, and wheeled into the waiting medical examiner's van. NYPD spokesman Paul Brown described what they uncovered at his Soho loft in New York City.
He was found at the foot of his bed, unresponsive.
There are reports that say he was naked.
He was unclothed.
According to NYPD sources, this is the official timeline of what happened. At 1 p.m., Heath was believed to still be alive. His housekeeper went into his bedroom to change a light bulb. She saw him sleeping and heard him snoring. At 2:45, his massage therapist arrived. Heath was unconscious and wouldn't wake up. She grabbed the actor's cell phone, but her first call was not to 911. It was to Heath's friend, Mary-Kate Olsen, who reportedly sent her private security team to the scene. In the days after, cameras clamored for a shot of loved ones left behind. In recent years, Heath was seriously involved with actress Michelle Williams. Both were nominated for Oscars for Brokeback Mountain, where they met and fell in love. The two are the parents of 4-year-old daughter Matilda. His official cause of death was ruled an accident, resulting from the abuse of prescription medications. There had been reports that drugs, including anti-anxiety medications Valium, Xanax, Ativan, and the sleep aid known as Lunesta were discovered at Heath's apartment. But what audiences will remember most was his great talent. His portrayal of the Joker in The Dark Knight, released after his death, has been touted as the best performance of his career.
A little fight now. I like that.
The role posthumously garnered Heath a Golden Globe, a SAG statuette, and finally an Academy Award that his family accepted on his behalf.
I think he would have been quietly pleased because I think he enjoyed the performance he did. I think he was very proud of what he did.
There are so many that we lost far too soon. Coming up, the freak accident that claimed the life of the crocodile hunter.
Steve Irwin's fatal encounter with a stingray and his life spent cheating death in the wild.
Then, John Ritter's legacy of laughs, the son carrying on his tradition.
He's shown me about what comedy is.
And the little girl whose dad died on her birthday.
Anna Nicole struggled to cope with her son's tragic passing.
He said Daniel's dead, and I said, "No, what are you talking about?"
Plus, Helen Carpenter's losing battle with anorexia and Gary Coleman gone too soon.
Before he slipped into the coma, were there any last words that Gary said?
That's next.
Now let's take a quick look at what's new in theaters this weekend. Drew Barrymore and Justin Long go all the way on the dining room table in Going the Distance.
The best time ever. Very idyllic to work with someone you love.
Also this weekend, Danny Trejo, Robert De Niro, and Jessica Alba star in the action thriller Machete. And George Clooney stars as a killer for hire with looks that kill in The American.
I don't think God's very interested in me, Father.
Hello.
Hey, come check this out. Tennis player.
Swiss tennis player.
Lindor truffles. When its smooth center starts to melt, so will you.
We're gonna have to confiscate these.
Why is that?
It's a new policy. No chocolate balls.
Okay.
I think we should do a strip search too.
Excuse me?
It's protocol.
Are you kidding me?
When I brush, I like to do a really mediocre job.
I love running my tongue across my teeth and feeling all the stuff I missed.
No one really wants plaque left on their teeth.
Done.
But ordinary manual brushes can leave up to 50% of plaque behind. Oral-B Power brushes are inspired by the tools professionals use to clean away plaque in ways a manual brush can't. For that dentist smooth clean feeling every day. Fight plaque with real power. Oral-B Power. Get 50% off Oral-B Power brushes for a limited time. Visit oralb.com for details.
Now Mom's Laundry Secret combines with OxyClean Stain Fighters, introducing America's first gel detergent, Arm & Hammer plus OxyClean Power Gel. It hammers out more tough stains for blazing whites and brights. Here's the proof. Switch to new Arm & Hammer Power Gel.
Hurry in and load up on great savings during the PetSmart Labor Day sale. This Friday through Monday, save up to 50% on select items. And select varieties of tropical fish are $1 each. PetSmart, we love to see healthy, happy pets.
There's something new inside your McDonald's Happy Meal. I swear. It's really good. Do you see it? It's called hope. Hope? Yeah, hope. I don't see any hope. I don't see any hope in here. You can't see it there, but you can see it here. Because every time you get a Happy Meal or a Mighty Kids meal, some of the money goes to Ronald McDonald House Charities to help lots of kids and families. Hope's good. Happy Meals, the simple joy of helping.
We now continue E.T.'s countdown of Hollywood's most shocking celebrity deaths.
His easy way with the deadliest of creatures is one of the things that really endeared Steve the Crocodile Hunter Irwin to millions around the world. It seemed like he always pushed the limits. Unfortunately, on September 4th, 2006, Steve's luck ran out. The death of the Aussie superstar is number 9 in our countdown.
When you're catching crocs, it's not about, okay, take 1, take 2, take 10. No way, mate. You get one shot at it. And as you can see, you've got no idea of knowing where they are.
He was a man who cheated death for a living. Sorry. But on that September day, he was filming underwater at Australia's Great Barrier Reef. His life was cut short when he was stabbed in the heart by a stingray. Irwin's untimely death at 44 was felt the world over, but nowhere more so than his native Australia.
I love you, and I hope you enjoy heaven.
More than 5,000 people attended a memorial service for Steve, where his daughter Bindi remembered her dad.
He was always there for me when I needed him.
He may have been most home in the wild, but it was Steve's family that tamed his heart.
What a journey my life has become. Luckiest thing is I've got my family with me. I've got my girl.
We were with Steve and his girls in 2002 for the Hollywood premiere of his movie, The Crocodile Hunter Collision Course.
Did you want to tell everybody what you're going to be when you grow up?
I'm going to be just like my daddy.
Yeah, I reckon you are.
You're a little beauty. Do you mind if we keep you?
Terry told us their love was unshakable.
This guy is the sexiest guy on the planet. Not only does he have great legs and incredible bravery, but being married to him is so awesome because he literally saves my life from time to time.
Most people don't have the good fortune to leave the world doing what they love most, but Steve Irwin did.
When I'm dead and buried, Crocodile Hunter will continue just like Tarzan. I live as a wildlife warrior. I put my life on the line. I will die for conservation. That's my destiny, and that's why God put me on this planet.
Karen Carpenter's voice was pure magic, and along with her brother Richard, the Carpenters were one of the most successful duos in pop music history. But today, Karen is often remembered as the first star to publicly battle an eating disorder. Her sudden death less than a month before her 33rd birthday is number 8 in our countdown.
And when the evening comes, we smile.
At her lowest weight, 5'4" Karen was barely 80 pounds, the result of a 7-year struggle with anorexia.
The signs of the anorexia began around 1975, so she was 24, 25 years old when people started to take notice that things were changing with her, both physically and emotionally.
Karen used laxatives. Her death caused by heart failure due to anorexia. But could Karen have been saved? Biographer Randy Schmidt, author of Little Girl Blue, The Life of Karen Carpenter, out now, reveals Karen's real battle was with her family, not with food.
From the time that Karen was born, she was schooled in her mother's philosophy for the family that we are here to see that your brother Richard becomes a superstar. And sometimes that was at Karen's expense. Mom was controlling a lot. They were still living at home, you know, into their mid-20s. Anorexia was definitely a way that she was able to claim control of something.
Just like me, they long to be close to you.
Even Karen's dream of one day having children would turn into a nightmare. When days before her wedding, Schmidt claims Karen's fiance told her he'd had a vasectomy.
She went to her mother. She called her mother in tears and said, you know, the wedding is off. Everything I thought is untrue now. And on the other end, Agnes Carpenter told her daughter, the wedding is not off. You will walk down the aisle with a smile on your face. And the part of that was most hurtful to Karen is that she told her, you made your bed, now you'll have to lie in it.
Fans can still enjoy Karen's music. The DVD Carpenter's Gold Greatest Hits out now.
Behind this beautiful voice that gave so much to so many people around the world, there was this turmoil and this hurt that was going on that nobody really realized.
Coming up, Michael Jackson's silence forever, his family's search for justice.
I mean, he took my brother's life.
Then, the Gary Coleman controversy.
The fact that people think that I would have killed him.
Did his ex-wife sell his deathbed photo?
You do know who took the picture of you with Gary.
Plus, Brittany Murphy and her mom, the heart-wrenching 911 call. And how close did she come to marrying Ashton Kutcher?
I am the luckiest man on the planet. There's no question about that.
That's next.
After a long night of partying in those high heels, guests at our ET Emmy party could take some comfort. The Dr. Scholl's for her lounge, where NCIS's Polly Perrette eased her aching feet with high heel insoles.
This is like the most exciting thing I could get in a gift bag.
Polly knows sore feet. She's standing for hours at a time shooting CBS's hit show NCIS.
Well, I know that you know, but I'm confused. Oh, I know. I bought these 2 days ago.
So she's actually been very well prepared with Dr. Scholl's.
Because it was Emmy week, right? I've been to so many parties, and I went down to my pharmacy the other day, and I went with my bag. I brought my own bag, of course, my fabric bag, and I bought 7 new pairs just in case. You will need these.
When you're 2 people in one, you need extra support with comfort.
More instant relief with Dr. Scholl's for her ball of foot cushions and fast flats.
How are your feet doing?
ET stylist Anya Saar had some fast flats for Samantha.
They come in this cute little pouch, which matches your accessories, by the way.
I like the word flat in that.
Right, and fast.
Yes. I didn't think I'd ever be so happy to take my heels off. Ooh, they're so comfortable, and I can dance in them. And my dress is long enough that when I do that, you don't even know that I have them on.
Bachelorette Allie with boyfriend Roberto took a few dance steps in her fast flats.
These are awesome.
Julie Benz gladly traded her heels for the fast flats, too. In her new ABC show, No Ordinary Family, she plays a housewife with a special superpower. In real life, Julie's super smart. She was already a big fan of the high heel insoles.
I bought them on Friday, and I wore them last night, my Louis Vuittons. I tweeted about them, actually. I took a picture of the package and was like, women, run out and get these.
For more on products like these designed just for women, visit the Dr. Scholl's for her Facebook page.
Men, this is what you don't have to deal with, except for our amazing men who wear high heels, which we love you.
Nissan's bottom line sales event is ending, so we're laying it all on the line with up to $1,000 bonus cash on top of all existing offers. Nissan's bottom line sales event. Get 0% financing on most new Nissans, plus up to $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry, event ends September 6th. Visit ChooseNissan.com or see your local Tucson Nissan dealer today.
Doorbuster savings up to 75% off. The Labor Day sale is on now at Sam Levitt's. Every item is holiday sale priced. All furniture, mattresses, home accessories, and patio sets have been reduced. Save on quality name brands like this all-wood 6-piece bedroom is now only $4.99, and its reclining chair and ottoman is Doorbuster priced at $99. There's special financing till 2012, free refreshments, and you can register to win your purchase or a $5,000 furniture shopping spree free. The savings are big during the Labor Day sale on now at Sam Levitt's.
I'm Gabrielle Giffords, and I approve this message.
After all that's happened on Wall Street, imagine if they had their hands on Social Security, too. Jesse Kelly wants to phase out Social Security.
To privatize it, to phase it out.
And gamble your retirement in the stock market. Benefits cut. Your retirement at risk. Kelly even says he would love to eliminate Social Security altogether. Jesse Kelly's a risk we can't afford.
When you put everything you've got into it, have the accolades to prove it, the only thing left to do is share it. The Ram Tint Event. Drive one without a payment for 60 days. And if it doesn't do everything you ask it to do, bring it back. Ram.
Or instead, get 0% financing plus $1,000 bonus cash or $3,500 total cash allowance on Ram SLT heavy-duty models.
Love on the Set. Bradley and Renee, Zach and Vanessa, 2 vampire romances. Hollywood affairs from the stage to the bedroom. Then on Tuesday, Hawaii 5-0.
Booking, Dana. It is Entertainment Tonight's Hawaii 5-0 exclusive from Honolulu.
The song, the shootouts, the sex.
Very gratuitous.
First on the set of TV's hottest new show.
You just gotta have good hair, babe.
Next week on E.T.
Brittany Murphy burst on the scene playing a high school student who goes through an amazing transformation in Clueless. Now, during her short career, she shared the screen with some of Hollywood's biggest stars. But her life suddenly came to an end when she collapsed at home just before Christmas. Brittany's sudden passing is number 7. The 911 call from Brittany Murphy's mother, Sharon, in hysterics. Frantic and fearful over her daughter's survival. Brittany is in full cardiac arrest. 32-year-old starlet Brittany Murphy would be pronounced dead just 2 hours later. The coroner's report reveals the cause of death to be acquired pneumonia, complicated by prescription drugs and anemia. She had been complaining of flu-like symptoms in the days leading up to her death. She first won our hearts as Alicia Silverstone's makeover project in 1995's Clueless.
Hey, T, this is Brittany Murphy.
And Ashton Kutcher.
It was 2002, and Brittany and Ashton Kutcher were playing newlyweds in Just Married.
We're really married.
Forever and ever.
After the film wrapped, and by the movie's premiere, they were an item.
I am the luckiest man on the planet. There's no question about that.
For a while, their romance looked serious.
I really care about her, and she's an amazing woman. And you know, if everything goes to me, I'm in no position to get married right now.
It was over by 2003, and Brittany shared her life's philosophy.
I know I am a nice person, That much I know is true. I do not mean malice. I do not intend malice ever.
She would be engaged twice, but would finally tie the knot with screenwriter Simon Monjack in May 2007.
What's it like?
It's wonderful.
Are you really enjoying it? You guys on that stage still?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's just unbelievable.
Hollywood is still reeling over the sudden passing of Different Strokes favorite Gary Coleman. Though the outspoken star had a history of health issues, few knew just how serious his medical problems had become in recent years. Gary Coleman is number 6 in our countdown.
He was the biggest child star ever, if you think about it. Everybody knew Gary Coleman. Everybody knew what you're talking about was.
What you talking about?
From child star to a shocking death, May 28, 2010. It all began with this 911 call from Gary's ex-wife, Shannon Price.
I heard this big bang. I went downstairs, blood everywhere. Send someone quick because I don't even know if he's like gonna be alive because there's a lot of blood on the floor.
When you made that 911 call, what was going on in your mind, and what did you think when you saw him down there in that pool of blood?
Well, I was definitely panicked.
Gary's death certificate reveals the cause of death: closed head injury due to a fall. The coroner ruling it an accident. 24-year-old Shannon speaking out, addressing rumors that she could have pushed Gary down the stairs.
I mean, I would take my own life before I would ever do anything to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would harm myself before I would ever hurt him.
You love him.
He's gold to me. Complete, solid, concrete gold.
But many would go on to call Shannon a gold digger, especially after his deathbed photo of her posing next to Gary appeared on the cover of the Globe. Todd Bridges irate.
Whoever is responsible for this and the people that are involved in this, people that are in the pictures, I hope they burn in hell.
Who do you think is behind those photos?
Who's in the picture? You gonna tell me you don't know anything about the pictures, but yet you're in the pictures? You know who took the damn picture. How you gonna sit there and lie?
You do know who took the picture of you with Gary.
I believe it was a close family member.
What do you think made them want to take those pictures?
Money. Money. Blood money.
Have you seen one penny from those pictures being sold?
Not a dime. I wanted to have something that I could hold dear to my heart. This was my last moment with him.
Before he slipped into the coma, were there any last words that Gary said?
He said, "I love you," and my head hurts. Those are the last 2 words he said to me. He always said he loved me, always.
For 42-year-old Gary, it was a tragic end to a difficult life.
Well, what kind of health issues did Gary have that we didn't know about? What kind of
Well, like I said, on top of having no kidneys and doing dialysis every day, every other day, he had heart surgery. He had a bowel replaced, and people didn't know that.
Every day he really was fighting for his life.
Yeah, every single day he was fighting for his life, for sure.
Coming up, the world loses 2 of its most beloved figures, both in tragic and horrifying crashes.
Getting married is a big adjustment.
John F. Kennedy Jr.'s fatal flight with his wife, Carolyn.
And Princess Diana's death trying to outrun the paparazzi after she finally seemed to find love.
And just as she was beginning to enjoy herself, just as it was beginning to be a little bit of that fairy tale, she died.
Plus, the impact of John Ritter's death on his Three's Company castmates.
Oh, I can't believe he's gone.
And our wildest Ritter moments.
I had sex with both Janet and Chrissy last night, all right?
That's next.
Hollywood in High Definition closed captioning, sponsored by
Clinically proven Mederma lets you do something about your scar so you can move on with your life and leave your scar behind. Mederma.
What if Clean Sheet Day became Clean Sheet Week? New Ultra Downy April Fresh has scent pearls that give you a whole week of freshness with just 1 wash. And Ultra Downy April Fresh lets you climb into more freshness for 7 days than this other fabric softener after 2 days. So why settle? Get more, feel more.
What would you do if your school was given $500,000? Would you bring in more art, music, science? We're donating $500,000 to 20 schools for a total of $10 million. And one could be yours. Just vote for your school at facebook.com/Kohl's. Dream big. Act now. Kohl's. Expect great things.
Swiffer WetJet absorbs and traps so much dirt, you'll never go back to your old mop.
Hey, mop! Want to suck up dirt and grime like Swiffer WetJet? Then try the Absorba Straw! Now you're getting it!
Sorry, mop, but Swiffer WetJet has a dirt-dissolving solution and super absorbent pads that trap and lock dirty water deep inside the gradient core, while mops can just spread it around. Swiffer cleans better or your money back.
Blinded me with science!
I see a lot of teeth that look great until I look at the gum line. The problem is you could have plaque along your gum line that can lead to gingivitis. In fact, 1 in 2 adults actually has gingivitis and might not even know it. That's why I recommend new Crest Pro Health Clinical Gum Protection toothpaste. It helps remove plaque at the gum line, helping prevent gingivitis. And it's been clinically proven to help reverse it in just 4 weeks. It also protects these other areas dentists check most. New Crest Pro Health Clinical Toothpaste for healthier gums.
Now Mom's Laundry Secret combines with OxiClean Stain Fighters, introducing America's first gel detergent, Arm & Hammer plus OxiClean Power Gel. It hammers out more tough stains for blazing whites and brights. Here's the proof. Switch to new Arm & Hammer Power Gel.
We now continue E.T.'s countdown of Hollywood's most shocking celebrity deaths.
JFK Jr. was seen as the torchbearer of the Kennedy family legacy, but like many in his famous family, he lost his life in his prime.
Yeah, when John Jr.'s plane went down off Martha's Vineyard, many felt as if they had lost a close family member. JFK Jr. is number 5 on our list.
Officials confirmed that searchers have found a large part of John Kennedy's plane along with his body.
It's incomprehensible, tragic loss, and of course my condolences and my deepest sympathy go out to the families.
He is the sort of embodiment of the Kennedy legacy.
He had the sexiest man alive, good looks, charm, and intelligence, but when news that JFK Jr. had gone missing at sea July 16, 1999, the world held on to hope that John Jr., his wife Carolyn, and her sister Lauren somehow survived the plane crash.
I just think it's a profound tragedy and something that is, I still don't quite believe it's real.
There was bad, hazy weather on that ill-fated night. The three were headed to Hyannisport for cousin Rory Kennedy's wedding. John had a broken ankle and was still walking around on crutches. He arrived at Essex County Airport around 8 p.m., following a day filled with business meetings and a doctor's appointment. 38-year-old Kennedy's single-engine Piper Saratoga fell from the sky at 9:41 p.m. An uncontrolled plunge into the sea at 53 miles an hour. Cause of death, pilot error.
Don't let it be forgotten that once there was a spot for one brief shining moment that was known as Camelot.
John grew up in the public spotlight. Images of him at play with his father, President Kennedy, with his mom, Jackie, and with his older sister, Caroline, a part of history. And no one can forget the courage as a 3-year-old John saluted the coffin of his assassinated father. He was beloved by Hollywood and made a name for himself with George magazine. His love life included romances with Daryl Hannah, Sarah Jessica Parker, and a brief fling with Madonna. But in 1996, he wed Carolyn Bessette, a publicist for Calvin Klein.
Getting married is a big adjustment, and for her, who was a private citizen up until about 2 weeks ago, it's even more so. So I just asked any, privacy and room you can give her as she makes that adjustment would be greatly appreciated.
The couple, along with Lauren, had a burial at sea, the remains scattered in the ocean off Martha's Vineyard. It was a fitting end, one that seemed to harken back to a 1962 speech given by JFK Jr.'s dad.
We are tied to the ocean, and when we go back to the sea, whether it is to sail or to watch it, we are going back from whence we came.
Just 2 years before John F. Kennedy Jr.'s death, the world mourned the loss of Princess Diana, and I can remember being in the back of a cab in New York City and getting the news across my pager and not really believing it.
I was with my mom and sister actually mourning the 1-year anniversary of my father's death, and I remember we were just shocked.
I think everyone remembers where they were when they learned the news of Princess Diana's passing.
And that is why she is number 4 in our countdown.
A short while ago, Buckingham Palace confirmed the death of Diana, Princess of Wales.
I think the whole world is in a state of shock.
When I first heard the news, I did cry a lot, and for different reasons. The first was because I didn't like the idea of meaningful lives being cut short, and the second for her children.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe she was dead. I still can't really.
August 31st, 1997, 12:23 a.m. Diana involved in a high-speed chase hunted by paparazzi. When her car entered this Parisian tunnel, the driver lost control and crashed head-on into a pillar at 65 miles an hour. As Di and her lover Dodi Fayed lay in the wreckage, the paparazzi continued to snap pictures. Di's final words were reportedly, "Oh my God," and "Leave me alone." E.T. was in Paris covering the story in the days after Di's death.
Prince William and Prince Harry have been kept in seclusion back in Balmoral, Scotland. Meanwhile, here in Paris, a makeshift shrine has been erected here at the Flame of Liberty.
At 20 years old, Di captured the attention of the world when she wed Prince Charles, July 29, 1981. 750 million around the world tuned in to witness the fairy tale wedding. Di in a $9,000 gown and 25-foot train. Her stunning beauty and style combined with her continuous charity work made Diana the people's princess. She gave birth to Princes William and Harry, becoming a devoted mom even as her marriage to Charles fell apart. After facing bouts of depression, infidelities, and divorce, Di seemed to finally find love with Dodi Fayed. Diana's funeral drew 3 million mourners to Westminster Abbey and was witnessed around the world. Hillary Clinton was on hand, as were Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise, and then-wife Nicole Kidman. A 15-year-old Prince William and 12-year-old Prince Harry walked with bowed heads following their beloved mother's casket. She was only 36. And while Diana died much too soon, the imprint she left on the world will be felt forever.
She helped people. She made a difference. Why couldn't they let her be?
Coming up,
stop breathing.
Is Dr. Murray to blame for Michael Jackson's death? The family's outrage over the charge against him.
We weren't happy. We were not happy.
Plus, Anna Nicole struggled to cope with tragedy.
If I didn't have Howard or my baby, I wouldn't be here.
And the eerie parallels to Marilyn Monroe. That's next.
It's an art, really. Knowing when to display your power and when to pull it back a bit. When to make your move and when to show a little restraint. Because there's power in control. And greatness comes from knowing when to use it. The Chrysler 300.
Get the 60-day regret-free offer or 0% financing for 60 months or up to $3,000 cash allowance on Chrysler 300.
I'm a retired youth counselor, and I spend my time working with underprivileged kids. I believe teens who are in trouble really want to change. They just don't know how. We had a basketball court, so I opened the church up every Tuesday night. It's not a full-size court, but it's something. They come whenever we'll let them. I believe that you can fight street crime with a basketball. I'm Dennis Pegues, and I'm a Mormon.
How would I make school a better place? Field trips to the zoo. More basketballs. Soccer balls. And a museum. More basketballs. Soccer balls. More books.
Yeah, like just a ton of books.
And books about soft things.
Soft and slimy.
Now clip double box tops for education from Totino's Pizza Rolls and Party Pizzas and make their school a better place.
South of Laredo, there's a place. Gotta cross an ocean of scorpion-covered earth. So hot, rattlesnakes combust spontaneously. We're drawn like moths to a flaming jalapeno. But you gotta eat bold. Know what I'm saying?
Subway's turned up the heat. Introducing Subway Fiery Footlong Subs. The hot new turkey jalapeno melt and boldacious buffalo chicken. Eat bold.
Subway Fiery Footlong Subs. Burn the wimp right out of you.
Nature is unique, authentic, pure, and also delicious. Like Nature Valley, granola bars made with crunchy oats and pure honey. Because natural is not only good, it also tastes good. Nature Valley, 100% natural, 100% delicious.
We now continue E.T.'s countdown of Hollywood's most shocking celebrity deaths.
On February 8, 2007, Anna Nicole Smith's life was cut short by an accidental overdose of prescription drugs.
Now, Samantha, over the years, all of us have had a chance to sit with Anna and speak to her many times.
But Mark Steines did one of her last interviews just 9 days before her death.
And at the time, she was grief-stricken over the death of her son, Daniel, and talked of wanting to join him.
Well, Anna Nicole's passing, therefore, is number 3 in our countdown.
Anna, are you ready?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
October 2006, still devastated by his death, Anna was beginning life after Daniel, with newborn Danny Lynn and Howard K. Stern by her side.
If I didn't have Howard or my baby, I wouldn't be here.
Really?
Really.
To the point that life would be too painful to live? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow. Have you contemplated that?
I'm just saying, if my child and if Howard was not here
To help you through this?
to help me through, I probably would not be here.
That fall for Anna Nicole was a very difficult time in her life, and she did find some relief. Seeing her with her daughter, Danny Lynn, offered, I think, a window of light for her. She had a really strong connection with the child. She was very close to Danny Lynn.
I had traveled 2,500 miles, some along secluded, windy roads, to her isolated oceanfront estate in the Bahamas. This grieving mother remained in total seclusion as she recalled the horrible day Daniel died.
I asked him what was wrong, and he said, I can't tell you. And I'm like, what's wrong, Howard? He wouldn't tell me. I said, what's wrong? He said, Daniel's dead. And I said, no, what are you talking about? And he said, Daniel's dead. And I said, I didn't understand.
I would see Anna Nicole again just about 3 months later.
Here we go.
This is my new beginnings.
The new beginnings.
Late January 2007, Anna invited me for a house tour.
This is going to be her childhood home, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You're going to make a lot of memories in this house.
Wow, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna walk on this floor.
Yeah. She's going to learn to walk on this floor. She's going to learn to fall.
February 8th, 2007.
I will never forget that day. The news broke. We were in production on the show, about to go on the air, and word came in that Anna Nicole had died, and I just didn't believe it. We were certainly aware of Anna Nicole's struggles with prescription medication, but this really caught us off guard.
6 weeks after her tragic death, we learned what killed Anna Nicole.
This case is an accidental overdose with no other criminal elements present.
Anna's legacy does leave one bit of joy: 3-year-old Danny Lynn living with her father, Larry Burkhead.
Beautiful eyes and blonde hair. She's a little Anna Nicole. My wish for Danny Lynn is that she experiences the happiness, the joy, the tranquility, and the peace that often eluded. Come on.
Coming up, John Ritter's passing after being rushed from the 8 Simple Rules set, or Michael Jackson found not breathing inside his home. Which is Hollywood's #1 most shocking celebrity death? Then Emmy fashion, Kojo's countdown of the very best,
sizzle, sex,
and absolutely worse.
This looks like kelp.
In minutes.
Julie Bowen, a fresh and natural beauty on the Emmy red carpet. Now, celebrity makeup artist Ron Ann Myers of Hush Up Salon in Manhattan Beach, California, demonstrates how you can get the look.
To get her look, I'll use Boots No. 7 Intensive Line Filler. to recreate that flawless canvas before I apply any makeup. It works by plumping up the skin and eliminates the lines, creating a more firmer look in just 2 weeks.
Boots number 7 Intensive Line Filler is available at Target and Target.com.
Next, we'll apply Boots number 7 foundation to cover any blemishes. Now for the smoky eye. We'll start with a hint of gold eyeshadow on the lid and finish with a dark brown in the corners and in the crease. Then apply black eyeliner to the upper and lower lids and finish with mascara. For a nice healthy glow, we'll apply pink blush and finish with a light pink lip gloss. There you have it, a fun, fresh look that you can do at home.
For a special ET exclusive offer from Boots, log on to etonline.com and click the Boots button.
This weekend in the Entertainment Tonight birthdays, which pop superstar won their first talent show at age 7? Is it Beyonce, Enrique Iglesias, or Taylor Swift? Your answers next in the ET Weekend Birthdays.
Embarrassing to say, delicious to eat. It's the Super Rooty Tooty Fresh and Fruity starting at $4.99. It's value covered with fruit and whipped topping. IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
If you want the deepest clean, you got a strip. Biore Pore Strips get rid of a week's worth of buildup for results you can see in a snap. Biore.
Hello.
Hey, come check this out.
Tennis player. Swiss tennis player.
Lindor truffles. When its smooth center starts to melt, so will you.
We're gonna have to confiscate these.
Why is that?
It's a new policy. No chocolate balls.
Okay.
I think we should do a strip search, too.
Excuse me?
It's protocol.
Are you kidding me?
Now Mom's Laundry Secret combines with OxyClean Stain Fighters, introducing America's first gel detergent, Arm & Hammer plus OxyClean Power Gel. It hammers out more tough stains for blazing whites and brights. Here's the proof. Switch to new Arm & Hammer Power Gel.
Weren't my daughter's cabbage appetizers spectacular?
I'm so stuffed with gas. Oh no, not that, not here.
Prevent uncomfortable gas moments with Gas X Prevention. Just one before meals helps prevent gas before it starts. From Gas X, the gas experts.
What? Mr. Clean Magic Eraser Bath Scrubber?
Quick question, what does she see in him?
Well, his scrubbing surface is 30% larger these days.
Yeah, that was rhetorical.
One more thing, he cleans 3 times more soap scum per swipe than you, so.
See, I don't think you know what rhetorical means. Oh, look at this. This is where he says, I'm Mr. Clean. I don't just clean, I bring out the shine, too. Ding.
What was that?
That was the noise a shine makes, or so I'm told. I've never actually done it.
Remove 3 times more soap scum per swipe with the new Mr. Clean Magic Eraser Bath Scrubber.
When I use Expedia, my friends at work think there's more than one me. Because on our trips, I always get there faster. See, Expedia lets me mix and match airlines. So, I can take one airline out and another home. So, with more flight options, I can find the combination that gets me there and back quickest. With a little help from Expedia, my friends will think I can be everywhere at once. Where you book matters. Expedia.
I'm Rachel. I have 2 kids, 3 dogs, a husband, and a lot of laundry. I was given a bounce dryer bar and asked to try it out and then answer a few questions. The biggest thing was that it's effortless. You stick it and forget it. By not putting in the dryer sheet, it's just one less thing that I have to do. I love the smell. It's light, it's fresh. The bounce dryer bar makes my life easier, and I really appreciate that.
The Bounce Dryer Bar gives you automatic freshness and satisfaction guaranteed, or we'll give you your money back.
We now continue E.T.'s countdown of Hollywood's most shocking celebrity deaths.
Three's Company made John Ritter an instant TV favorite. More than 25 years after the show's debut, John was back on ABC. But one day on the set, the star fell ill and would never return. John Ritter is number 2. He was the TV dad who made us laugh, but that laughter was silenced on September 11, 2003. News broke that John had been rushed to the hospital from the set of his hit sitcom 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. He'd been complaining of chest pains. John passed away that night at 10:48 p.m. Amy, son Jason, and co-workers were at his side. The cause was aortic disease. It was his daughter Stella's 5th birthday. John was 54. His star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame filled with flowers and tributes. His friend Henry Winkler spoke to Mary. They were working on the set together just hours before John fell ill.
If he's up there, then I just have to say to you, John, I love you so much. I love you so much. I will miss you so much.
The next year, the TV Academy honored John with a posthumous Emmy nomination.
It's just a really beautiful tribute. John was so proud to be a television actor.
John's career took off when he scored the part of Jack Tripper on ABC's Three's Company. He displayed a mastery of physical comedy, and he won an Emmy for the role.
Oh, I can't believe he's gone. Can you? I can't believe it's so unfinished.
There's a place in your heart that will never be filled again.
I loved them then and I love them now, you know. I mean, we went through a lot together. We were a team, you know, and that's what was really fun. I was so grateful to go to work every day. We all were really, really excited because it was a real playground every day.
But John made a playground of every place he worked, and E.T. was often in on the joke.
Seriously, you guys have...
Seriously?
Yeah. You
good luck.
Get the hell out of here. This is between two people. I'm telling you. Entertainment tonight, you don't scare me.
You got me. I'm doing it. I had sex with both Janet and Chrissy last night, all right? We've been living a lie.
How are you? Nice to see you. This is my son, Jason.
His son, Jason, pays his dad perhaps the highest compliment.
He's shown me about what comedy is and, you know, what's funny.
Before his death, John appeared with his 8 Simple Rules castmates at Disney's California Adventure. John was thrilled when a fan presented the star with a copy of his Hollywood high school yearbook.
It's great. It's wonderful. I'm so happy. I thought there'd be like 20 people out here, but there's thousands, thousands of people.
A testament to his popularity, and fitting because John's face now greets students on the wall of the high school's famous mural.
When John passed away, everybody was asking me what the legacy would be, and the legacy is love and laughter.
Yeah, we reveal Hollywood's most shocking death. Who else but Michael Jackson?
Of course, the superstar's overdose on the drug propofol still has left many unanswered questions. The passing of the King of Pop tops our list at number 1.
Michael Jackson, 50 years old, the King of Pop, has died.
Security surrounding Staples Center is on high alert.
It was an emotional scene here at Forest Lawn Cemetery. The death shocked the world. The mourning moved us all. And now, the arraignment.
We're going to waive the reading of the complaint, Judge, and just enter our plea of not guilty.
Jermaine, your thoughts on the day?
We weren't happy. We were not happy.
The charge against Dr. Conrad Murray, involuntary manslaughter. The bail set at $75,000. The raw emotion felt within the Jackson family, anger.
I mean, he took my brother's life.
The events of Thursday, June 25th, 2009, perhaps the saddest and most shocking day in pop music history, began with a tragic 911 call.
He's not breathing, and we're trying to pump him, but he's not.
The autopsy stated the Jackson died of acute propofol intoxication. Dr. Murray was Michael's personal physician and by his side at the time of his death. Found in Michael's house, 11 vials of propofol. None of those vials had directions, patient, or doctor name. What a contrast to those innocent years. Michael and his brothers on top of the world as seen on The Ed Sullivan Show. When Michael left the Jackson 5 and struck out on his own, his superstardom continued to skyrocket.
I want to entertain people, bring some type of joy, escapism, magic to the world.
But Michael's life off the stage made headlines when a civil suit was filed in 1993 over claims of molestation. Jackson settled. In 2005, a separate case went to trial. Michael was acquitted.
All the things that they've said in the past, all the false accusations and all the crazy. Michael was a wonderful human being, and to say all these things, it hurts.
At the time of his death, Michael was gearing up to return to the stage.
This is it. I mean, this is really it. This is the final curtain call.
A series of shows titled This Is It was being rehearsed tirelessly on a stage in LA. Sadly, it was on that same Staples Center stage at the Grammys in January that Michael's incredibly courageous children spoke of their father.
Through all his songs, his message was simple. Love.
Our countdown is over, but our show is not. Kojo reveals his best and worst dress at the Emmys, so take cover. That's next.
Now is the time to get out there. Because at Jeep, we pledge to give you adventure.
we pledge to show you more. We pledge to bring freedom within reach. And with our Pledge Plus program during the Jeep 10 event, we'll make your payments for 60 days when you finance a 2010 Liberty, Compass, or Patriot. And if you change your mind, bring it back. Right now, get 0% APR financing plus $500 bonus cash on the 2010 Jeep Wrangler. I live, I ride, I am. Jeep.
End summer with huge savings.
During Sleep America's Mix and Match sale, get an amazing price on this Sealy Queen set. Just $385, but only until Labor Day Monday and only at Sleep America.
How would I make school a better place? Field trips to the zoo. More basketballs. Soccer balls. And the museum. More basketballs. Soccer balls. More books. Yeah, like just a ton of books. And books about soft things. Soft and slimy.
Now clip double box tops for education from Totino's Pizza Rolls and Party Pizzas and make their school a better place.
At Pizza Hut, everyone loved our $10 any pizza deal, so we've made even bigger changes. We've lowered the price of every pizza on our menu. Now, a large pizza with up to 3 of your favorite toppings is just $10. Only at your Pizza Hut.
Yoplai's real fruit and the goodness of dairy gives you a little slice of happy. And happiness comes in 25 delicious flavors. Explore them all. Yoplait, it is so good. The Yoplait you can't get enough of, now in a 4-pack.
You don't love me anymore, do you, Billy?
What?
I didn't buy this cereal to sweet talk your taste buds. It's for my heart health.
So I can't have any?
If you can deprive me of what can help lower my cholesterol and live with yourself.
Right.
I worry about your mother. Crying herself to sleep every night over my arteries, but have yourself a bowl.
Good speech, Dad.
Honey Nut Cheerios taste great, and its whole grain oats can help lower cholesterol.
Be happy, be healthy.
Celebrating an ET weekend birthday on Saturday, Damon Wayans turns 50. Candy Alexander is 53. Blowing out candles on Sunday, Rose McGowan is 36. Michael Keaton is 59. Raquel Welch turned 70. Bob Newhart is 81. And which pop superstar won their first talent show at age 7? That's Beyonce, who turns 29 on Saturday.
Monday on ET. Love on the set. Bradley and Renee, Zach and Vanessa, 2 vampire romances. Hollywood affairs from the stage to the bedroom. Then on Tuesday, Hawaii 5-0.
Booking, Dana. It is Entertainment Tonight's Hawaii 5-0 exclusive from Honolulu.
The song, the shootouts, the sex.
Very gratuitous.
First on the set of TV's hottest new show.
You just gotta have good hair, babe.
Next week on ET.
And the #1 best dress of the Emmys 2010 is Mariska Hargitay and Vera Wang. This dress looked as good coming as it did going. Mariska, arrest me. And now my worst dressed at the 2010 Emmys. #3, Christina Hendricks and Zach Posen. Christina, darling, you become a fashion target when you wear ostrich feathers on the red carpet. #2, Anna Paquin and Alexander McQueen. That gaudy gold, you were overwhelmed. That to me was a matador's costume. I was like, where is the bull? And the #1 worst dressed at the Emmys 2010, January Jones in Versace. This wasn't a dress, this looked like a sea creature. This looked like kelp that dried up and landed on the red carpet. It was like a creature from the Black Lagoon.
For more on tonight's stories and all the late-breaking Hollywood news, just go to etonline.com. We leave you now with more of Cyndi Lauper's amazing performance at our ET Emmy party. So take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Shining it up.
forecast, blazing hot this morning, scorching hot this afternoon, mystifyingly hot tonight.
When it's hot and sweaty, the last thing you want is for your fountain drink to be hot and sweaty. All Thirst Busters and Frosters now come in a no-sweat cup. 79 cents, any size, every day. Only at Circle K. What else do you need?
Right now at the Dodge 10 event, when you buy a new Charger, Journey, or Grand Caravan, Dodge will give you 60 days to decide if you want to keep it. They'll even cover your payments. This event could not be more amazing. Oh, wait, there's an invisible monkey. Unbelievable.
Or in lieu of 60-day offers, get 1.9% financing plus up to $2,000 worth of Mopar accessories on select Challengers.
Nature is unique, authentic, pure, and also delicious. Like Nature Valley, granola bars made with crunchy oats and pure honey. Because natural is not only good, it also tastes good. Nature Valley, 100% natural, 100% delicious.
KOLD.com for live, local, late-breaking weather, traffic, and news.